At this point, I'm pretty sure that everybody has heard of or even seen Vladimir Zelensky's speech in front of the US Congress. As a Russian who moved from Russia to Canada around 6 years ago, I thought I would weigh in on the entire speech that Zelensky gave and, do a review of it. Weigh in on some of the things that Zelensky said, do a reaction video. I've seen lots of those happen, and I think as a Russian who has relatives, literally relatives, fighting against Ukraine in the Russian army, I think that I could weigh in and add a lot of value to the conversation and clear up a lot of the things that I see people get confused about. So, long story short, let's jump right into it. This is my review and my reaction video to Zelensky's speech in front of the Congress a couple of days ago. Alright, without further notice, let's get into it. Let me minimize the screen here real quick. I think that should be good, maybe a bit smaller. Okay, that's kind of weird. Alright, there, that's okay. Alright, let's get into it.
Madam Speaker, the President of Ukraine.
Everybody clapping like a bunch of dogs, like sheep in a herd who do not have the ability to think on their own. Clapping, shaking his hand like he's some sort. What is that transgender doing here? A transgender with red glasses? Who is that guy, girl? What? Okay. So right off the bat, we already see the narratives they're trying to push. He's coming in, everybody stands up, starts clapping like he's the Messiah. Some transgender LGBT shakes his hand. Right off the bat, they gotta throw the transgender in there so that we know that LGBTQ supports Ukraine, right? Nancy Pelosi, not Nancy Pelosi, Kamala Harris shaking his hand, even though Kamala Harris is not the president. She's the vice president, yet she's acting like the president. Nothing new. There we have it, Zelensky, or as I call him, the puppet US president, the puppet Western president of Ukraine, who is not a constitutional president of Ukraine, but we'll get into it later. Okay, everybody's standing up like this is Jesus right there. Look at him, standing there, so important. Everybody just clapping. Okay. Героям слава. Да. Yeah. Героям слава. No slava. No thanks. The Ukraine flag. This guy coming in, he's literally coming into the US Congress, right? Everybody's standing up like Jesus just walked on water. Clapping. You know what? I haven't even seen this. Let's play a game, okay? Because I can just sense it. I can sense it inside my soul what is going to happen, okay? Let's play a game. Every time the Congress people are going to stand up out of their seat and clap, we're going to take a shot, okay? I'm not going to drink, but if you want to get wasted, I'm sure that they're going to get up a bunch of times, get up out of their seat in order to clap. I can just tell by the Ukrainian flag right there that some people are holding, okay? So let's play a game. Every time they stand up to clap, take a shot. You're going to get wasted. I already can tell. Let's keep on watching. Might have to raise the volume a little bit. Героям слава. No. No glory to the heroes of Ukraine. They're no heroes. They're villains. Look, they're clapping. They're clapping forever. It's been 10 minutes. Stop clapping. Get to the point. This is the narrative they're trying to push. They're just clapping. They want you to support them so bad that the guy just walked in, hasn't said a word. They're all clapping like...
Members!
Okay. Get to hear Nancy's annoying voice.
Members!
This is awful.
Members of Congress!
Okay.
I think it is. Members of Congress, I have the high privilege and the distinct honor of presenting to you His Excellency Volodymyr Zelensky, President of the Ukraine.
More like a fake US puppet president of a fake puppet regime which got in power in Ukraine in 2014 through a military coup. More like it. I wouldn't say that he's the official president of of Ukraine. He is a president which was put in there only because of the military coup which happened in 2014. So right off the bat, we already see the narrative that's being pushed. Vladimir Zelensky, the president of Ukraine. Come on. Okay, let's keep on going. Okay, they're clapping. They're still standing. They're still clapping.
Thank you so much.
Are they gonna stop? Okay, okay, he's here. Okay, we get it. We get it. We get it. Oh, that guy tried to sit down. No, 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 old man. Not that quick. No, no, no. It's only been 10 minutes. It's gotta be at least 20 before you sit down.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. Okay, let's see
Thank
what they
you.
say.
It's too much for me.
Yeah, even for me.
All this for our great people. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Dear Americans, in all states, cities, and communities, all those who value freedom and justice,
Okay, alright, come
who
on.
cherish it.
Okay, right off the bat. Freedom, justice, okay, democracy, they're probably gonna bring in there. I already see where this is going, okay? You can already tell that this guy is reading off a sheet of paper. You know that he didn't write the speech himself. This guy is an actor, okay? He's coming in here, reading off a piece of paper, just like Biden reads off a piece of paper. This is a game that the bankers are playing. They taken these actors like Vladimir Zelensky. The guy literally got an Oscar. Like it's right in your face. He got an Oscar. Reading off a piece of paper, playing a role, talking about freedom, talking about freedom like okay, whatever. Let's keep going.
As strongly as we Ukrainians, in all our cities, in each and every family. I hope my words of respect and gratitude resonate in each American heart. Madam Vice President, I thank you for your efforts in helping Ukraine. Madam Speaker,
Your efforts of helping Ukraine, more like giving a weapon to every single man, woman, and child, arresting and literally shooting anybody in Ukraine who refuses to fight against their Russian brothers. Yeah, helped a lot. Gave a gun to every person, created uncontrolled crime all over Ukraine. Literally, people being shot who refuse to fight this war. Men don't have the ability to leave the country. They have to stay and fight, or else they get shot or go to prison, best case scenario. Yeah, great help. Great help forcing Ukrainians to fight Russians. Come on.
you bravely visited Ukraine during the full-fledged war.
Such bravery.
Thank you very much. Great honor.
Such
Thank you.
bravery. So brave. God. Okay. Okay, clapping, yeah.
Great privilege to be here.
Oh, yeah, we heard
Dear
that.
members of the Congress, representatives of both parties who also visited Kiev, esteemed congressmen and senators from both parties who will visit Ukraine, I'm sure, in the future. Dear representatives,
Right off the bat, they're trying to, they're already pushing onto you the narrative that in the future, Ukraine will become some sort of a satellite state of the States, just like Europe is today, or even Eastern Europe for that matter. It's like, I'm sure in the future you're gonna go to Ukraine. Because, yeah, they're already trying to push subconsciously the idea that in the future, Ukraine is going to be a part of NATO, is going to be an ally of the States, right? Like, it's going to be a satellite state, right? Right off the bat, like, this is literally 5 minutes in, and already Zelensky is pushing the idea that in the future you're going to visit Ukraine because Ukraine is going to be NATO. Okay, right off the bat. No, you're not gonna visit Ukraine, okay? Oh my God,
diaspora.
this is just hard to watch. They're clapping, okay? They keep clapping like children at the zoo. Like, we get it. Let him talk. Like, every line he says, they clapping. What? They're standing up? Why are they standing up? Oh, because of the diaspora. Okay, I'll let that one slide. Okay, they're clapping for maybe some important people out there in the stands. Who knows? I'll let that one slide.
Present in this chamber and spread across the country, dear journalists.
Okay.
It's a great honor for me to be at the US Congress and speak to you and all Americans against
As though all your videos before haven't been spun on every single news channel, fake news as I call it. Like, yeah, you've been speaking to Americans. The majority of your audience watching your interviews have been Americans because they take whatever you say, Zelensky, show it, spin it on all American news channels because they want to ingrain it in your brain in the West that Ukraine is the good guys and Russians are the evil bad guys. Yeah, we heard this a million times, okay?
against all odds and doom and gloom
Doom and gloom.
scenarios, Ukraine didn't fall.
Doom and yeah, even um, Angela Merkel, the ex prime minister or president of Germany, literally admitted publicly, that the Minsk agreements between Ukraine and Russia were never going to be followed. The only reason why Ukraine even signed the Minsk agreements was to buy time for Ukraine to receive arms and weapons from the States to arm itself for a war with Russia. This is no coincidence. So Zelensky saying doom and gloom, everybody thought Kiev would fall in a day. It's not even true because ever since the Minsk agreements were created, which Ukraine, according to the prime minister or the ex-prime minister, ex-president of Germany, never even was going to follow. Never was even going to follow. So saying that people thought Ukraine was going to fall, it's not true because the Minsk agreements were created for the sole purpose to buy Ukraine a couple of years to receive arms, weapons, technologies from the States to arm itself for an upcoming war with Russia. This has been a long-term plan by the West, by the owners of the central banks, by the Rothschilds, by the Soros, to defeat Russia, right? They've been arming Ukraine. The Minsk agreements were never going to be followed. So this doom and gloom, Ukraine didn't fall. Yeah, because the Minsk agreements were created to arm Ukraine. You guys have been getting armed. Ukraine been getting armed for the last 5 years, preparing for a war with Russia. This is no news. It's been going on for a while. Literally, the president of Germany stated publicly that the only reason Minsk agreements were a thing was to give time for Ukraine to receive arms for a war with Russia. Like, yeah, doom and gloom.
Ukraine is alive
Oh yeah,
and kicking.
kicking. Yeah, kicking. Yeah, kicking. Getting kicked in the. Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Take a shot. Everybody standing up, clapping,
Thank you.
just clapping. Like they just want to drive the narrative in your brain that Ukraine are these amazing good guys. Zelensky is a truly elected president. Ukraine is not run by a fake Western puppet government, right? And you guys are doing, the Westerners, the US, are doing a great thing by literally supporting and funding Ukraine, who are literally killing my cousin with 3 kids fighting a war in Ukraine on the Russian army, in the Russian army, on the Russian side. They want to ingrain it in your brain. That's why they've stood up like 5 times and it's only 5 minutes in. Because they want to ingrain it in your brain. The Ukraine are the great guys. Zelensky is the greatest, I don't know, thing since sliced bread. They just want to ingrain it in your brain. Like, come on.
And it gives me good reason to share with you our first joint victory. We defeated Russia in the battle for minds of the world.
Come on. Joint victory? Defeated Russia in the minds of the world? Do you even see the narrative they're trying to push at you, just throw it. It's like the same with the LGBT. When they took the World Cup, something totally unrelated to the LGBT, and then slapped LGBT right on top of it, mixed it all together for you to consume. Same thing here, right off the bat. Joint victory, US and Ukraine, right? Defeated Russia in the minds of the world. Yeah, yeah, right. Already the joint victory thing, the reason why they're doing it, slapping it together, right? US, Ukraine, defeating Russia, put it together. Why? Because they want to ingrain it in your brain that the US and Ukraine are together, working together, defeating Russia. It's a way to draw US and NATO further into the conflict against Russia, to get them involved directly. But you got to be aware of that. Like the reason why they're saying that, Zelensky saying it, joint victory, is because over time they want to have a reason for US to get involved more directly than just the weapons.
We have no fear, nor should anyone in the world have it. Ukraine's gained this victory, and it gives us courage, which inspires the entire world.
Yeah. Ukraine gained this victory. Meanwhile, 4 regions of Ukraine have been conquered by Russia. Conquered, more like they have been given the opportunity to live how they want, and that is, keep their Russian culture, keep their Russian language, and be a part of Russia, just like they've been for thousands of years. Okay? So, this Ukrainian victory is not even true. Like, Ukraine is not winning. Ukraine literally had 4 territories go away from it and join Russia, the Russian Federation, right? 4 territories have been, let's use the Western propaganda term, let's say annexed. 4 territories of Ukraine have been annexed, are now part of Russia, and Zelensky calls it a victory of Ukraine. What kind of a victory is that? You lose 4 territories in 8 months? Wow, real victory. Come on.
Americans gained this victory, and that's why they have
See,
succeeded.
that's what I'm talking about. Americans gain this victory, joint victory. Yeah. Okay, they just wanted this Americans in Ukraine, Americans gain this victory, joint victory. We're fighting Russia together. They just want this. They want US to get involved more directly. It's like they want the globalists, the owners of the central banks. They're pushing like a third world war or something. Like, it's ridiculous.
In uniting the global community to protect freedom
Oh yeah.
and international law.
I hate that they even say that the US is protecting the freedom, the global community, the international law. Yeah. A real good protection, United States of America. You're starving Yemen to death. You bombed the hell out of Iraq. You literally invaded Nicaragua for bananas. You fought a war with China just because China didn't want to buy drugs from you, so you invaded China, killed millions of people just to force China to buy opioids from you. You conquered all of Africa, literally, I mean literally. You used slave labor in Africa, in Asia, in South America. You use slave labor to produce things and then sell it, for more expensive prices. You use slave labor essentially from your modern day colonies. You call that protecting the freedoms? Whenever somebody doesn't agree with you, like Gaddafi, who wants to create a currency, a central currency in all of Africa, you kill him. You literally kill him, call him a dictator. Whenever, you invade Iraq, whenever they don't agree. You invade Iraq, you kill Gaddafi, you invade Nicaragua for bananas, you fight a war with China because it doesn't want to buy your opioids. You literally and you're calling this protecting democracy? All of Africa essentially is a colony to the States. All of Asia is a colony to the States. They're working for like 10 cents a day, slave labor to produce and manufacture things, then ship it over to the States so that we can sell it for more expensive. And we use the slave labor, we pay them 10 cents to build something, then they send it over here and we sell it for like 5,000% markup. Like, it's literally like all of Africa is a slave colony. You're calling that protecting freedoms? Come on, this is ridiculous already.
Europeans gained this victory,
Oh my
and
God.
that's why Europe is now stronger and more independent than ever.
Wow.
The Russian tyranny
Oh my God.
has lost control over us.
Oh my God. The Russian tyranny lost control over us. Come on. How can I can't watch this, guys? Russian tyranny. Yeah, it's like Russia had hundreds of colonies. Like Russia turned all of Africa, all of South America, all of Asia into literally slaves and resource colonies. Russian tyranny. Russia enslaved black people? Like what? No. It was all the states, and you're saying Russian tyranny? The world's been underneath the tyranny of the states for centuries, and you're saying Russian tyranny? And okay, that's one Russian tyranny. No, the U.S. are the real tyrants in here. Okay, that's one. They literally turned the whole world into resource colonies and slave labor force. And then two, Europe is doing better than it ever has. I'm sorry, what? Have you been? Have you been to Moldova? They don't have any lights there. Have you been to Germany? They're paying 10 times more for gas. They're like, it's very like, lots of people can't, they're like they're saving money on gas. They're turning down the heat. They have it like 4 times a week. We have it warm, but then 3 times a week we turn the heat off and we have it cold because we gotta like conserve, the money on energy because Germany literally had a direct pipeline getting getting oil and gas from Russia, but now because of this the Nord Stream is completely shut off. So Germany's gas prices skyrocketed to tenfold. They're literally like freezing half the times of the week. The average German family is like turning the heating off so that they can afford to have periodic heating throughout all of winter. And you're saying Germany, not Germany, but Europe is doing better than it ever has? How half of Europe's gas prices tenfolded in like that? And you're gonna tell me Europe is doing better than it ever has? This is literally the globalist agenda, propaganda being pushed onto you, and you're eating it, you're eating it, you're eating it. God! Everybody's clapping. Oh no, not again. Oh my God, come on, they stood up again. See, this is what I'm talking about. This is the agenda. He literally said Europe is doing better than it ever has, and we defeated Russian tyranny. Everybody stood up because they want you to be like, "Ooh, they stood up. That must mean it's important." Like, this is literally made for people without a brain, people who can't think on their own. Like, come on. They stood up again for the 10th time in 7 minutes of this video. They stood up again for some bullshit he said. Come on. Come on. This is literally propaganda at its finest. They keep clapping and clapping and standing up every time Ukraine says I mean, not Ukraine. They keep clapping and clapping and standing up every time Zelensky says a sentence. Like, come on. Alright? Just come on. Okay, at least they stood down, sat down quickly, alright.
And it will never influence our minds again. Yet, we have to do whatever it takes to ensure that countries of the global south also gain such victory. I know one more, I think, very important thing.
What?
The Russians will stand a chance to be free only when they defeat the Kremlin in their minds.
Oh my God, somebody shoot me. Shoot me in the brain, please. Oh my God, I just can't, bro. I can't. The Russians will stand a chance to be free when they defeat the Kremlin in their minds. Okay, you know what I hate? As a Russian who moved to Canada, I absolutely hate this fake narrative that people in Russia are not free. People in Russia, I don't know, are starving to death. People in Russia live horrible lives and they don't have freedoms. It's like, do you not know Russian history? Do you know that Russia had the most violent revolutions ever? Like, open a history book. Whenever Russians were unhappy with their government, they overthrew it. And I'm not just talking about the 1917 revolutions. I'm talking about the fall of the USSR in 1991. I'm talking about tons of Russian tsars that have been killed and assassinated throughout our history. Russia is not some pussy nation like North Korea or something who's gonna be scared. We're not free, we're scared. We're scared of Kremlin, they're abusing us. This is propaganda, guys. If Russians didn't like their government and their system, they would overthrow it, trust me. We're not fucking pussies who are gonna tolerate shit. We're not scared. The reason why Putin has been able to stay in power for 22 years, I'm 21 years old. Putin been in power for 22 years. He's been in power longer than I've been alive. The reason why is because we Russians, we're not pussies. We're not gonna bend over to your American values of democracy. Democracy is not a Russian thing. It's not. Don't push it onto us. Don't be telling us how to live. We don't accept democracy. The reason why Putin has been in power for 22 years is because we as Russians want a strong leader. Because Russia has always had a Tsar. We always wanted a strong authoritarian leader. And Putin is not even that authoritarian. The point I'm trying to make is that the narrative that Putin is an usurper, he's a dictator, he's ruling Russia with an iron whip. This is not true. We as Russians, we don't subscribe to your fake democracy, okay? How could democracy function when a president is limited to 2 terms maximum? 1 term 4 years, 2 terms 8 years? You're telling me a president comes into office and he only has 8 years to do something? Then the next president comes, destroys everything the other president did. Then the next president comes, destroys everything the other president did, starts his own new thing. You know what democracy with 2 term maximum, 4 years each, does? It creates a system of bureaucracy where it's not the president no longer who runs things, it is the bureaucratic system. We as Russians don't want that. We don't want a fake democracy where you have a new president every 4 years or every 8 years at best who does something completely different and destroys everything the other president did, ruins the work of the previous generations, essentially, right? And has no real power. It's like you need to understand that when a president comes to power, 8 years is just enough to understand the world. 8 years is not enough to complete a term. It's like Putin has been in power for 22 years. Imagine how good of a president he is. He spent the first 10 years understanding the world and Russia's place in the world. Then another 5 years getting experience with, with running things and getting more and more experience. So over time, it's like any job. Imagine you worked a job, a career, and you can only work it for 8 years. It doesn't make any sense. The longer you are there, right? It's not obviously there is an extreme, right? If he's if he's a dictator and people don't like him, then yeah. But we like Putin, right? 8 years is not enough. You spend the first 4 years just learning things, then another 4 years after you learn it, it's just the experience. Now you learned, now you need the experience to get better. Then another, a third term should be, because now you're understanding the place of your country in the world, right? And Putin has been in power a long time in Russia for 22 years, meaning he got a chance to see Russia's progression in the modern world. He got to see what Russia was like before, what Russia was like now. Being in power for 22 years, and we want it as Russians, gives Putin the bigger picture of Russia on a world scale. That's why he's able to make moves. That's why he's able to do things. Russian economy is booming ever since the start of the war. Why? Because being in power for 22 years made Putin give him enough experience and knowledge of the world to understand that if they fight Ukraine, then that means that the West will impose a bunch of sanctions on Russia. If they impose a bunch of sanctions on Russia, then all the Western businesses are going to leave Russia. If all the Western businesses leave Russia, then Russia is going to replace those businesses with their own business. So sanctions are good for Russia because in a way it brings back the iron wall of the Soviet Union. And that means the Russian economy is booming because now All the Western businesses are leaving Russia because of sanctions. The Western dollar, the US dollar, is no longer a big currency in Russia. So now Russia is having their own businesses to replace the businesses that left from the West. Now Russia is selling gas with rubles instead of dollars. Russian economy is the best it's ever been. Russian ruble is worth a lot more than it was before the war. Why? Because Putin, being in power for 22 years, was able to understand the bigger picture of Russia's place in the world, of the global politics, of how the world is run, all these things, to have the ability to have enough knowledge on the world scale to make moves. That is why being in power in democracy, being in power for 8 years maximum is a joke. Because in 8 years you're not going to learn anything. You're not going to have the ability to make big long-term moves. 8 years is not enough to understand how to rule, to understand the world, to understand the politics of all the different countries, to understand the world economy, to understand, to have a good picture of your country, how it was before, how it will be in the future, the progression. 8 years is not enough. 8 years of democracy means that you have a bureaucracy, papers, bullshit system. Not good. Okay? No, not good. We Russians want Putin. So Zelensky, going back to Zelensky, what he said, saying that Russians will only be free when they defeat the Kremlin is the definition of American propaganda. Because we as Russians want Putin. We want him to be in power. He's been in power for 22 years. I hope it's going to be 30 more years. Because we like Putin. He is a strong leader. He does things for the Russian interest, not for the interest of his own pocket, not to get money, not to get wealth to his group of friends, not for the owners of the central banks like the Rothschilds. He does it for Russia, for the common Russian man. And that is why we want him. The longer he's in power, the more he learns, the better he becomes as a president. So no, Russians are not going to be free when they defeat the Kremlin in their minds. Russians will be enslaved, like Americans are enslaved today, when they subscribe to the Western ideas of fake democracy. I mean, look at LGBT and all the other crap. Western society is literally degenerating. Anyway, this concludes part 1 of my breakdown and my review of Zelensky's speech. I'm gonna make a part 2, probably a part 3, because this video is already too long. So anyway, thank you all for watching. My name is Artem in Russian. So yeah, I'm Artem. Thank you for watching part 1 of the video. I'm gonna make a part 2, part 3 shortly. Leave a comment of what you think of what I said. Subscribe to my channel and like the video. So yeah, thank you very much. I'm gonna make a part 2 and probably a part 3 of this because I have a lot to say. I'm genuinely tired of the fake narrative that the West is pushing. It really annoys me because I have relatives fighting in the war. I have childhood friends, just aside from my cousin with 3 kids, I have childhood friends who are fighting in the Russian army against Ukraine, who are younger than me, and I'm 21. I know 20-year-olds, 19-year-olds, even 18-year-olds who are fighting in Ukraine for the Russian army. So, I'm gonna make a full breakdown of this speech because I'm tired of this. I'm tired of hearing all this nonsense. I'm tired of here living in Canada. The government is taking 30% of our tax, of all of our money for tax, and then sending it to Ukraine. So in a way, I'm paying 30% of my income to the Canadian government to fund Ukraine, to fund the killing of my own cousin and my own childhood friends. I mean, come on, that is ridiculous. That is ridiculous. So once again, thank you all for watching. I'm gonna make a part 2, and I'm gonna make a part 3 probably. It's gonna be uploaded soon. So yeah, leave a comment what you think. Like the video, subscribe to my channel. Thank you very much. I appreciate it greatly.